Shadows Behind the Glass. Part 1. The Beginning of Anxiety. The city was bathed in the sunny light of August, but even the bright sun could not chase away the shadow that was slowly enveloping Emily. She sat at a glass table in her apartment on the top floor of an old building in Chicago, scrolling through photos on her phone. They all seemed normal, smiling faces of friends, shared dinners, weekend trips, but something in them made her uneasy. She noticed that one of the pictures caused a strange feeling. In it was Mark, her husband, and a woman with an unknown face whom she did not recognize. They were laughing, holding hands, and at that moment, Emily felt her heart tighten. "No, this can't be true," she whispered to herself, trying to convince her mind that it was a coincidence. The phone vibrated with a message. It was from Mark's friend Laura. "We had a great time today. You can always count on us." Emily opened her mouth, but no words came out. She set the phone aside and wrapped her hands around her head. Every cell in her body was screaming, "Something is wrong." Evening was gaining momentum. In the apartment, the smell of coffee mixed with the dull scent of the plastic floor from the old furniture. Emily paced the room back and forth, trying to organize the chaos of her thoughts. She remembered their early years together with Mark. Joyful bike trips, Sunday breakfasts, songs that echoed in the small kitchen. "How could everything change so quickly?" she whispered again. The doorbell made her jump. Her heart raced wildly. She opened the door, and there stood Laura, smiling as always, but with a look that now seemed threatening. "Emily, we need to talk," Laura said in a calm but cold voice. Emily felt a chill crawling over her skin. "About what?" "About Mark," Laura replied, not averting her eyes. "You should know the truth." Emily took a step back. Her thoughts were tearing apart. She did not know if she was ready to listen or ready to see what could destroy her world forever. She began, but Laura interrupted. "I don't want to lie to you, but he hasn't been the man you think he is for a long time." Silence hung between them, heavy and viscous. She could hear her heart beating, like an echo in the apartment walls. "Explain," she finally said, trying to pull herself together. Laura slowly nodded and sat on the edge of the sofa, not looking away. "He's cheating on you, and it's been going on for several months." The words fell on Emily like an icy shower. She felt the ground slip from under her feet. All her trust, all her memories, everything seemed betrayed and empty. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "More than ever," Laura replied. "I saw them together. They are not just friends." Emily sat on the floor, hugging her knees. The room was silent, and she felt her heart breaking. The betrayal she had been afraid to think about had become reality. At that moment, the phone rang again. On the screen flashed Mark's name. Emily looked at it, not knowing whether to answer. She felt that everything had changed forever, and although her heart screamed with pain, her mind suggested one thing. Now she needed to know the whole truth. Part 2. Discovering Evidence. Emily sat on the floor, phone in hand, her heart pounding wildly. She knew she could no longer postpone. She had to make sure of the truth. She pressed the call button, but quickly stopped. Her hand shook and thoughts spun in her head. What if this is all a mistake? What if Laura is wrong? Then suddenly, a new message appeared on her phone from Mark. "Thinking of you. Maybe we can meet tonight?" Emily felt all her fears becoming reality. She knew she couldn't just ignore this. She began searching for any clues in their shared photos, messages, emails. Every little detail seemed important. Funny emojis, innocent comments from friends, unusual meetings that Mark had never mentioned. Evening approached, and Emily decided to act. She drove to Mark's office under the pretext of work. She knew her husband often stayed late for meetings, and she decided to check his computer. When she opened the laptop, her heart raced so much she wanted to scream. There were messages, long, emotional exchanges between Mark and that woman. Their words were tender, sometimes flirtatious, and sometimes frightening in their frankness. "You are just A traitor, she whispered to herself. She couldn't take her eyes off the screen. The betrayal she had only felt before was now visible, clear, like a sharp knife in her heart. A knock at the door made her flinch. She quickly closed the laptop and turned. At the door stood Mark, with a smile that suddenly seemed insincere. "Emily," he began. Wait, she interrupted sharply. "I know everything." Mark froze, not knowing what to say. His face changed from slight surprise to tense fear. How did you find out?" he muttered. "Laura told me, and I checked myself," Emily replied, feeling anger mixed with tears. Mark took a step forward, trying to take her hand, but Emily moved back. "Don't touch me," she said quietly. "You destroyed everything." He opened his mouth to say something, but the words got stuck. Emily felt that she could never trust him again. And although there was still a glimpse of apology in his eyes, she knew this was the end. Evening fell over the city and a heavy silence filled their apartment. Emily realized that she could not remain with a person who had lied for so long that even she had not noticed the changes. "I'm staying here to make sure you don't leave until I go," Mark said quietly, but his voice only sounded like an echo. Emily packed her bags, feeling each step heavy as a stone. She didn't know what awaited her ahead, but she knew one thing. Betrayal had changed everything, and now all that remained was to decide how to move forward. Part 3: Confrontation and Choice. Emily walked through the streets of the night city, her heart pounding as if it wanted to burst from her chest. City lights cast long shadows on the sidewalk, and the cold air slightly calmed her thoughts. She held her bag tightly, not willing to stop even for a second. She stopped near the cafe where Emily and Mark often spent evenings. It seemed that even this place, filled with memories of their shared life, had now become alien. She dialed Mark's number on her phone. "Emily?" His voice sounded surprised and confused at the same time. "I know everything, Mark. You cheated on me, and I see it with my own eyes." Her voice was quiet but firm. Emily, wait, I can explain," Mark tried to persuade her. "There's nothing to explain," she replied. "Explanations won't bring back my trust." Her words hung in the air, heavy and merciless. They silenced for a few seconds, and in this silence, Emily felt the last shred of doubt fade away. She decided to meet with Laura, the one who first revealed the truth. Emily wanted to understand how deep the betrayal was and what drove Mark. Laura met her in a small cafe, her face full of sympathy. "Emily, I didn't want you to find out this way," she began, but Emily raised her hand. "I know. I just need to know the truth." "How serious was he?" Her voice trembled. "He talked about you constantly. But I never wanted to ruin your marriage." Laura's words were like a cold shower, and Emily felt anger and sadness intertwining in her chest. She realized she could no longer tolerate deception. In the evening, Emily returned home. Mark sat on the sofa, trying to look calm, but his guise betrayed anxiety. "We need to talk," Emily said, sitting across from him. He nodded, but words didn't come. Their eyes met, and in that silence, they felt that there was no trust left between them. "You chose lies over me," Emily said, "and I can't live with someone who does that." Mark sniffled but said nothing. Emily felt a heavy fog spread in her chest. It hurt, but she knew this was the only way. "We're getting a divorce," she said quietly. "And even if it will be painful, it's better than living with falsehood." Mark raised his eyes. A desperate attempt at justification could be read in them, but his words vanished, leaving only silence. Emily gathered her bags and left the house, feeling each step lessen the pain. She knew a long path to recovery lay ahead, but today she made a choice. She chose herself, not the lies. The night swallowed her silhouette, and the city quietly continued its life. Betrayal left a mark, but her heart began slowly learning to trust itself again.